And that's what I'm really most interested in right now. So let's get rid of these slides and let's, without more ado, bring our lovely guests onto the stage. There we go. Lovely. Great to have you. So glad you're all here. Super. You all look super. Okay, let me introduce, first of all, let me start with Margaret Barrie up here on the right. Margaret Barrie is a very dear friend. She's also a colleague and is a psychologist, a nutritionist, and a Clifton Strengths coach. She works with leaders, entrepreneurs around performance and healthy work-life balance. And Margaret, it's so wonderful to have you with us. Thank you for making it tonight.
Thank you for inviting me. It's lovely to be here.
Oh, good. It's an absolute pleasure. Super. Then we've got friend Lucy Blyth. She is the founder of Equitone, and Equitone is the most extraordinary sleep system. So her speciality is sleep. And she is involved in evidence-led sleep support, 900 plus nights of real-world data as well. And she is exploring Lodestone herself. And I'm particularly interested in what she's been noticing as she goes deeper and deeper into the practice. So welcome, Lucy. It's so lovely to have you here. So glad you could make it. And then finally, we've got Flo, who is our speaker from the summit, and she's with us tonight. I should say she works with high-achieving women leaders and business owners around burnout, realignment, and creating sustainable success without sacrificing health, relationships, and purpose. And she's a healthcare professional. So we're so glad to have her here. Flo, thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful. And I'm so glad that you've started Lodestone too. So then we Ebby. Of course, Ebby Sheila needs no introduction really, but she is quite a veteran of Lodestone now, and she's in fact training to become a guide to work with me on Lodestone. So it's really very exciting. Yeah. So let's start off then by just opening up the floor here with the question: when you first came to Lodestone, where were you in yourself, and what did you begin to notice? And I think Lucy would be a really good person to start with this. Would you like to start, Lucy?
Yes, that's fine. I was in quite a good place before I started Lodestone. I'm a regular gym goer. I'm very physically active despite a sort of sedentary office job. I'm a regular meditator. I do a lot of yoga. I know quite a lot about the nervous system and tips and tricks to regulate it. What I didn't have, what I felt I didn't have, was the embodiment, the really being in my body and being aware of what was happening around me, my intuition becoming a great deal stronger, and actually feeling very much more settled in myself. Even though I have done a lot of personal development work, it's actually really quite profound, I've found.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Well, that says it all. And there was a point at which Lucy wrote to me and said, it's the bell. When I hear your bell, now I'm giving away a little bit of the secrets here, and I'm going to reveal it to everybody else. You have to try it for yourself. But yes, I use beautiful interruptions, as I call them, something unusual in this training. And of course, it breaks the loop for people. It breaks the looping mind. It makes people stop And when there's a gap, then other things can flow inside that gap. And yes, Lucy, you said to me very clearly, you felt this bell really brought you back to your body.
It really does. And I think the other thing that I would say is it actually becomes part of your day quite quickly. And I don't mean just the practice. Obviously, it's a 30-minute practice. But what I have also found is that it comes into my conscious awareness quite regularly during the day. I'll suddenly just like take a moment and go through some of the techniques that Lyndon walks us through. So I've found, that word embodiment is really important. I've found that I have been able to embody this quite quickly. It's become part of my being.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Great. Superb. Let's move on to Ebby now. But please jump in if you want to ask anybody a question. This is a free-for-all. So just jump in and, any questions for Lucy so far? Or any questions from audience? If you have a question. Yeah, Flo, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I thought you asked if there was question. I was saying no question yet. I'm liking, what I heard from Lucy. I thought I was, I started it just a few days ago. I started on Saturday, I think. And I think what Lucy was saying, I was thinking, okay, is it the bell? Is it really me thinking of those things? So it's nice to hear Lucy say it. So I can then relate it because I think something's happening, but I couldn't put it into words. So hearing what Lucy said is quite helpful.
Oh, that's great. Super. Thanks, Flo. Yeah, just jump in and comment in whatever way you would like to. Margaret, would you like to go next? Would you like to tell us about your experience?
Thank you. The first thing that I wanted to note, Lucy made a point about the bell. And I have to be honest with you and say, when I started the program, I found the bell quite startling. It was sort of, oh my goodness, because it was, I don't know, a sharpness about it that really startled me. But I found that as I've gone on with the program, it is less and less intrusive. So it's almost as though, to start with, I think an indication of our own levels of stress. I don't like to use the word stress. I mean, in terms of tension that one carries. And that as I've done the program and got further and further into it, that has lessened. So the bell is more like a bell than an intrusion.
Right. Super. That's interesting. Of course, a bell has many connotations, and each of them different for all of us. The Angelus, the Buddhist bell, the gong for dinner, this kind of stuff. We have all sorts of associations. But throughout my spiritual training, we've always had this kind of Buddhist bell. It's actually a Buddhist bell. And it's very pure. And in fact, my bell is very ancient and very blessed by many priests and so on in the Buddhist faith. So I use it because I really want to convey that to everybody using Lodestone. So I'm glad to hear you say that, Margaret. And, of course, it may have many different connotations, but at least it did awaken you, would you say?
Interruption.
It interrupted you?
Well, yeah. I think, for me, the whole thing of Lodestone is getting into that place, which is slightly different from meditation, because I also meditate daily, and it's a different place. It's becoming aware of actually the internal workings of the body, but not in an intellectual way. It's much more just the experience of it.
Yeah. Direct experience.
Direct experience. Yeah,
Lucy.
can I?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, because you missed me,
Yeah, I'm coming. No, yeah, I
No,
saved
you
the
missed
best
me
for
because
last.
you called me, but then you somehow missed me. So
Yeah, I know. But
because
then Flo
Margaret and Lucy, Flo have just said, and even three of them have just said something. I just like, I better jump in before she goes to the next question. But anyway, so about, I mean, I've been doing it for a while, but like Lucy indicated, it just becomes part of you. It's similar to it's not quite the same as meditation. It's more embodiment, and it's kind of like I feel. And every day, the most surprising thing is that every day I'm discovering more about things that I'm embodying within myself, and understanding that now I'm able. I found it very difficult to be present, even though I had been doing a lot of meditation. Like Lucy, I've used so many modalities, so I was quite in a good place anyway from the start. But in addition to that, now I found that it's become. I mean, I could be outside, I could be talking, and I just kind of know my body just goes straight into it. It's now. I don't even know how to describe it. It's difficult to describe. I thought I could describe it when Lucy was talking, and now I've come to it. I can't even say what I want to say. So it's
well, that's a great sign to me. That's a fabulous sign. If you can't describe it, I'm happy, because I feel that a lot of the spiritual things that go on in our lives and our feelings and so on, language is so inadequate to really describe what's happening. Of course, we can look to the poets, but who looks at the poets these days? Not many people, And for me, some poets get close, but we are quite impoverished in terms of language when it comes to describing feelings or shiftings inside us. So I'm jumping for joy when somebody says to me, "Oh, I feel different after that. I feel quite different, but I can't describe it." So I say, great, because for me, that is the body.
imposter
moving.
syndrome. This is one thing I had a problem with, imposter syndrome. And now I'm at a stage where I'm recognizing that it's not there. But then I'm thinking, how is it possible it's not there? So I'm having this argument with my intellect and my body. And there's that conversation going on. And I can now see that my body, that's my unlimited mind, is taking control over the intellect, which is, I think the way our system works is that a lot of us have our intellect taking control. And that's not, your intellect is not the real you. And I'm finding now that conversation is happening. So I'm more aware of when the intellect is trying to gain control. And I'm saying, no, I'm in control. So you got to take a back seat. You serve me, not the other way around. And so I can't wait till I get there where it's taking control. But the intellect is really fighting to come back up. And I'm saying, no. You serve me. You do what I say.
Flo's agreeing with you there. We'll come back to you. But Lucy, I think you had a question. Do you want to ask?
Well, it's partly a question. One of the things that I've been meditating for quite a few years. So one of the things that I initially found not challenging but unusual was when we're asked to close our eyes, but not completely close our eyes, so that you've got some light coming through the bottom. And because I'm used to, when I meditate, completely close my eyes. So, but obviously I followed it. And one of the interesting things that I came across in the last few days, it was a post I read quite widely, was a post about, when you're closing your eyes and you're moving into meditation, your brain waves are changing from the beta, the day-to-day when you're concentrating and doing, down into the alpha, which is more where you're daydreaming, meditating, etc. When you've got your eyes with a slither of light, your brain waves apparently actually move more into theta rather than alpha. And I just have a question that, because that's biology, that's how our biology works. So if my brain is moving into the theta, I'm obviously conscious, completely conscious through it all. But if my brain is moving to the theta, I just have a feeling that that's perhaps where we can really reprogram our subconscious, which is the software running in the background that keeps tripping us over. And I wonder, is that why it's so effective so quickly? I'm only about a third of the way through the program, just so people know. And it really genuinely is something that comes into my consciousness. Sometimes I'll find myself, if I'm standing boiling the kettle, I'll just be running the practice protocol through my spine and things like that. And I'm almost immediately. So I just wonder if it's a different way of, if we're in theta, are we accessing different levels of ourselves?
Yes, we are. And basically, that awareness, and I think I do say this, yes, I do say it each day, each time I prepare you for this. I do say, yeah, you know, if you let there's a really big chance that you go into a sleep state. You know, you may drift off into a sleep state. If you keep just a rhythm, and this is how I was taught meditation by great Buddhist masters. Keep this rim, and you are here now. You don't drift off. It keeps you really here and now, and especially when it's coupled with your breath. And so when I start to work on the breath with you, that those two are really in partnership, and they will keep you 100% aware, hopefully, during the whole practice. And that awareness is where you're really going to start rewiring, changing, letting habits drop, letting things fall away. So yes, it's quite deliberate, that. And after many years of experimenting with these things, this is, I found, the best way to get into truly aware. One of the problems is that people think, when you mention the word mindful, they think it's an opportunity to have a DOS, as we say in English, you know, to have a sleep, to have a rest, relax, that's tight and tense. That, of course, that's probably what they do. So this work is much more about heightening awareness, and that awareness may never be heightened in some ways. And I've worked with people who have said, hey, some people did say, yeah, it really blows my mind when I leave this rim light open at the bottom of my gaze. It does something very special to what's happening inside me. So I'm coming to the conclusion that this stimulates interoception, which, as you know, is the ability to go inside the body. And of course, this practice, and I don't want to give too many secrets away, but this practice will show you how to use what we may loosely term your mind inside your body. This actually comes from the Alexander technique in principle, because F.M. Alexander discovered his technique because he lost his voice. Okay, so and he couldn't get his voice back. He was an actor, and he was losing his livelihood. And so he started to study what he did when he recited microphones. And of course, he was really stretching and straining his body in this kind of military style. And of course, it was collapsing the larynx. And that was the reason for the loss of voice. But then he discovered that by really focusing inside the body, and by the way, he was not an anatomy specialist or physiology specialist. He was an actor. He was an artist, you know. But by really directing his mind into his body and into his throat area and his shoulders, he could really relax them. and really let go. And of course, we can utilize the power of the mind in many, many, many ways. And this is just one of the ancient ways, I believe, that our ancient ancestors used this kind of interoception quite often. There's a lot of evidence of that in research now. So, yeah, I think heightened awareness is something you need to be prepared for when you do Lodestone. It's not just an opportunity to have a nap.
Yeah. I think Flo wanted to say something. Sorry, you just broke up
Flo,
for a minute.
Go ahead. Flo, do you have a question?
Have we lost her?
Oh no, I'm here. Sorry, I didn't hear the flow at the start.
I thought we had lost you because you were like.
No. I'm just trying to grab fragments of what Lyndon is saying because she keeps going. The signal is not very good today, but yeah, I just wanted
in Japan that happens all the time. They have all this cyclones and earthquakes.
Yeah, I mean, only for the food that I'd want to go there, but yeah, yeah. So, I just wanted to. I mean, I was thinking about when Lucy mentioned the bell, and everyone's spoken about the bell actually, and it then dawned on me because I do suffer from tinnitus, and when that bell comes, the sound is more distinct. It feels like it goes in deeper than anything else. It's like, hey, wake up, and it's like that, Of course, I'm not sleeping, but it's like my alarm, like times 50 of it, because it's funny, I can't explain it. It's not loud, but it gets to every point of my body. That's just how I can explain the bell. It's like really, it's distinct, and like I said, I am still trying to work out what exactly does this. And seriously, I think I'm on day 4 today, and I just can't wait to. Normally, I'm not very patient. My son will tell you that, but with this, it's like I'm really looking forward to it. I want to know more. I want to see where it takes me to, and yeah, it's an interesting thing. And well done, Lyndon. Yeah, and Ebe, thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I love the way you show it as a kind of journey, because the way I created it was, in fact, a journey for me. I'd reached a point where I just knew I had to share this. I had to get it into some form that I could use to share with people. And so, yeah, I sat down, and for 6 days solid, I created it, and it was done in 6 days. It just came to me in one huge. I didn't go to bed for a couple of days because I was so inspired by it, so inspired by it. And yes, I'm fascinated by where it's going to take you, Flo, because Flo has some health problems recently, and we're hoping that this Lodestone work will really help her manage pain and so on. I've seen it work with pain beautifully, because, as you described, the bell just takes you to another level, and it moves you away from maybe an intellectual filter of pain. Pain is a very complicated thing, and basically we can look at it from many perspectives, but it has always been the case that meditation or mindful practice of some kind will move you away, will distract you away from pain. And this happens with Indigenous peoples too. They will go into a trance, which is quite common. They'll dance, they'll go into a trance, and they will move away from that kind of mortal pain, if you like. So we're summoning really your higher self with this practice. And the bell is all part of that, I think. Yeah. Lucy, you look as if you've got a question.
It was just when you mentioned higher self, one of the things that I would say, I think I said this to you, Lyndon, before, and maybe before I started. I get a lot of verification, as do a lot of people I know, and feedback with synchronicities and so on. And one of the some of the words that you use, particularly North Star and things like that, I just kept randomly, the book that I'm reading kept talking about it. There was a horse called it. I was getting it. So I sort of kept getting these synchronicities all the time. And the other thing that I would say in terms of higher self is what I've noticed is lucid dreaming, sort of in the early hours of the morning. I'm actually a really, really good sleeper and have been for quite a long time. But I find that about 6, 7 o'clock, I'm now, since I started Lodestone, have got a lot of vivid dream time going on. And I remember that dream time. Some of it's obviously processing stuff. That's quite a marked difference that I would say I've experienced since I started the
That's really interesting. And of course, Lucy is a sleep expert. She's been running running after sleep for 18 years now, just celebrated 18 years. Amazing. A research project and everything. I so admire that. And I'm hoping you'll guide us to get our research project going, because that's the next stage. We want to get this out into a proper research project. And I'm looking forward to your guidance on that, Lucy, when we get there. Great. I think that for me, people say to me, "Oh, Lyndon, how do you sleep?" And I say, "Oh, brilliantly, always 8 hours. I have to have 8 hours. I'm a real 8-hour person. And if I don't, I'm always a little bit under par." Do you know what I mean? It's really amazing. That's clearly my biological clock, and the circadian rhythms and so on in operation. But when I say that, many people say, "Oh, God, so envy you. I can't sleep and I wake up all the time and so on." But actually, one of the things I'm really interested in is the idea that, and the experience too, that even though we may sleep, we're still aware. So awareness is still functioning because the biochemistry is still going on, even though we appear to have moved into a different mode. And I can see Margaret is going to gallop in here, and as a nutritionalist and a biochemical expert of long decades, dozo, as we say in Japan, dozo. That means go ahead, you've got the floor. Go ahead, Margaret, please.
I think that what you're raising is incredibly important, is that we have an internal biochemistry that is happening all the time. And that, one of my qualifications is in physical intelligence, which talks about our ability to manage our internal biochemistry through movement. And of course, in order for the brain to relax enough to dream and have a dream be remembered, we have to be in a particular level of sleep, which when we are stressed and anxious is very difficult for the brain to actually slip into that ability to dream. And again, we've talked about burnout, we've talked about so much of the more demand we place on this organism, the more it has to perform, and it stops the natural processes from taking place and being able to be part of life. And the more we are aware of those natural processes, the need for rest, the need for dreams, the need for time out, no matter how pressured we are, if we don't have that time out and allow everything to just go back to, reset, as it were, so that it's able to keep performing, And so it's a huge consideration. And I think that the Lodestone is one of the ways in which it brings us back to basics.
Wow, that is, sorry.
Like come into your body, because this is the instrument that enables us to do everything in life. If we do not look after this instrument, it'll play bad music out there, I can promise you.
Oh my gosh, this is such an interesting conversation, and I thought we would be done in an hour, but we're not even scratched the surface. And yeah, it's sorry, I mean, I want to have respect for, we want to have respect for everybody's time, and we did say it would be an hour, and we're almost there. So,
Ebby, may I just interrupt and just make one little point in answer to Margaret, because I think, Margaret, really you've put your finger on something really